participants are around 180, so they will be joining. Now just 40-50 have joined, so by the end of this one they will be joining.
Right, right. So, I would request maybe at the end, I also are given one a copy of the recording, because it will be useful
Yes, sir.
to give it to the others who would like to get this kind of a knowledge. And it is not that every day we get that much of time to dig deep and understand plastic and recycling and circular economy in in those contexts. Also, I would really request you, if you are really wanting to learn, consider it as a actual lecture hall. Okay, so please think that you are sitting in a lecture hall and you are, no, and I'm presenting some things to you. So if that is the case, then it is really two things are expected. One, that your video cameras are on, and I so that I don't face a blank screen to understand whether whether you're getting the subject or not. It'll be very nice to hear. So thank you, Mr. Ashutosh Kumar. And second is, when the lecture is happening, you would also like to ask questions and be more interactive, right? Otherwise, the lecture becomes very boring and your students sleep off. I'm sure you must have encountered exactly the same thing in the last 1.5 years, when your students switch off their cameras, and in turn what happens is you feel that you are just talking to a blank screen. किसी को कुछ फर्क पड़ रहा है नहीं पड़ रहा है पता नहीं, किसी का कोई किसी को कुछ समझ में आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है पता नहीं। आप अपने तरफ से एक तरफ से जस्ट एक सुर में अपनी रामायण कथा सुनाते जाते हो. That is not a great idea for me for the next 90 minutes. I really like it to be very interactive, and the interaction can happen in two ways. One is, of course, I can see you, so that makes this thing very useful. And second is by asking questions. So, if you ask any clarifying question, or if you do make some suggestion, one way of doing that is putting it in the chat box, so that it is really useful for me to keep looking, and it doesn't reduce it doesn't change the flow of, if the flow continues. And second is also a little bit on on the recording of something, that okay, there was some clarification and some suggestion, so it gets recorded. And I'm requesting CIPET Bhubaneswar to continue the and keep the chat box conversation in some kind of a separate folder, so that if there are some questions or some things that we have said, that we will get back to you on something, so that becomes a record of that. Yes, I have to get back, I have to clarify. And that also would be good to get all the contact details from the individuals. Okay, so I see 3 out of 45 people already switching on their camera, so thank you very much. And I'm hoping that you'll find it more interesting, and more people will be interacting in this session. Let me ask you to begin with, because in the spirit of two-way communication, let me ask you if you have any specific expectations. Thanks, Jyoti. If you have any specific expectations from this 90-minute conversation. This is not, I'm not a government employee. You are also hopefully not a government employee. You are probably not a government employee, not hopefully. But so you're also understanding that in the spirit of being very productive in the next 90 minutes, you want to also gain. So if you have any specific expectations, can you please speak, because this next few minutes, we would like to hear from your expectations. What do you think are the expectations from this session, especially on the plastic recycling and generally in recycling, circular economy, anything that comes to your mind relevant to this topic? So can you please open your mic and ask a particular question if you have, or can you put an expectations? Anyone? So the thing is that If there is no expectation, that means that you really don't want to take anything away from the session. Okay, so it is being done because you have to mark your attendance in the session because it's a requirement from your institute, or it's a requirement from
Good morning.
Pradhan Mantri
Sir, good
Atal
morning.
Bihari. Yes, Mr. Astosh.
Sir, actually, sir, I have already, sir, worked on biodegradation of plastic, sir.
Biodegradation.
Hello? Yes, sir. Actually, sir, in that, sir, I have already published some papers related to degradation of plastic, sir. Now, sir,
Okay.
I just want to know some ideas how we can means decrease the amount. So earlier in previous sessions, I have heard that there are recycling and other methods we should adopt so that we should decrease this. So, sir, my expectation
Decrease
from
the time. Decrease the time of biodegradation.
yes, sir. Actually, sir, in my studies, sir, what I observed that, sir, even after if you perform the experiment for more than 2 months, 3 months, still we will get very less degradation, like 1%, 2%. So I think biodegradation process is not a viable solution to decrease the plastic waste. So that's why, sir, I'm here to know the alternative methods like recycling and other methods so that we could at least reduce this plastic waste. So that's why, sir, I've joined this session.
Very good, very good.
Good
Ashutosh ji,
morning.
what subject do you teach in which college?
Sir, I am from VSB Engineering College, sir. Currently, I am taking mass transfer 1 and CRE 1, sir. I am handling these two papers, sir.
Sorry, mast.
Mass transfer 1, sir, and chemical reaction engineering 1.
Okay, mass transfer and chemical. Mass transfer looks like a mechanical engineering subject.
Yes, sir, very much related to, but it is also related to chemical engineering, sir.
Okay, very good, very good. Okay, anybody else who can, who is brave enough to volunteer a question?
Good morning, sir.
Good
Actually, I
morning.
am from Pune, and be like honestly, I'm just attending the first seminar regarding this plastics recycling and all. I just interesting in small business ideas, and nowadays we are seeing the waste material. So if I get some ideas about it, so I want to be a small entrepreneur. So that's why I'm joining this.
Very nice. Thank you so very much. Who is this? Who was this person? I am not able to locate.
Uh, Tejas sir from Pune.
Okay, Mr. Tejas, what do you teach?
I'm a automobile lecturer in a polytechnic.
Very good, sir. You know that there are 60% of parts in automobile which are made of plastics.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes,
60%.
more than
And
60%,
60%,
we can say.
yeah, maybe 70%. And 60% parts together weighs less than 10% of the car.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so very good. Thank you for joining. And definitely, if you want to become an entrepreneur like me, um, you first off you'll have to
Sure, sir.
take the courage to deep dive into
Yes.
it. It is not easy, but yes, definitely there will be some interesting discussions today around the same. Anyone, any last person who would like to ask a question or put an
Good morning, sir.
expectation?
Hello, sir.
Good
Yes,
morning,
Hello.
Mr.
sir.
Madhu.
This is Guru Prasad, sir.
Yes, Mr.
Hello,
Madhu.
sir.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi. Hello. Hello,
Hello, sir.
Dr. Amit.
This is
I'm a, I'm Dr. Madhu Ganesh. Can you hear me?
yeah. This is I'm only Amit
Hello.
Saha, not doctor yet. Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Oh,
I can
okay.
hear you, Mr. Madhu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
I'm Dr. Madhu. I am a trained organic chemist from IIT Bombay. I worked with Biocon and I taught in engineering college. I have more than 20 years of experience in organic chemistry, etc. My currently I'm moving towards entrepreneurship, and my idea is to convert waste plastics to gasoline, diesel enriched with gasoline. So, any suggestion from your angle is highly appreciated. Currently, I'm working as a scientific manager in one of the company started by my brother-in-law. So, I'm sending a mail in detail, and I look forward to interact with you in future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Madhu. It is very nice that there are some teachers who want to become entrepreneurs. It's very
Yeah.
encouraging.
Yeah.
And you see all the entrepreneurs are becoming, they're starting $1 billion with $1 billion valuation, all the unicorns, and maybe you will become one of the unicorns. So
As
you're
long
from
as it benefits society.
yeah. So
Thank you.
plastic to oil is pyrolysis, and it is already working in some
Yeah.
places. And Bombay is a place where it is working. So I
Yeah.
can give you
Yeah.
some details. And
Yeah.
now there are companies which have come up and got $700 million to make that work in three different countries. An
Yeah.
Indian company which has got a
Okay.
funding of $700 million to make it
Oh,
work in
great.
three different countries.
Yeah.
So it's
I want to
very
provide a catalytic touch to that.
yeah.
Catalytic touch being a catalytic chemist.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe we
No,
can have a
absolutely,
dialogue
because you are an
post the
organic
seminar.
chemist, organic
Yeah.
background, so I understand that, and
Yeah.
we can talk about it. There are ways to put active and passive catalyst in paralysis. Really helps because it doesn't go into the product. It actually
Yeah.
is, let's say, an extra metal or
Yeah.
unique metal or metallurgy inside the pyrolysis tank, the tank which is where you are making the oil, you are vacuuming it and heating it simultaneously. The
Yeah.
catalysis
Yeah.
process encourages a higher level of output yield and higher
Yeah.
quality of output, and you can make near diesel pyrolysis oil
Mhm.
from waste
Mhm.
plastics. And catalysis is therefore a very important aspect in it, and we can talk about it
Yeah.
definitely in another session. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you
Yeah.
very
Sure.
much. Okay, so
Thank you.
okay, what I'm going to do is it's 10:22 already, so we will start. And the way I would like to start, and there are 50 people on this in this call, so I would like to start with the minimum common denominator. Okay, so which means that if you know nothing about it, you will start from there, so that everybody come to a very base level. And then no, there are some people who are like super experts, like Dr. Madhu is there, who wants us to become a super expert in a particular technology, or somebody wants to become no wants to look at biodegradability of plastics. And those conversations can be taken towards the end, so that everybody else first comes to a standard level, right? So I would start from the standard level of consumption, and I'm going to take some use of some slides which have been created by me in various different presentations. But don't I don't want to be totally bothered by, or what my intention is not to show you 200 slides today. Although sometimes some faculty members have that tendency that they have to cover, and the students have to go through 200 slides in 30 minutes. So probably I'll not do that. I understand the value of your time. So my intention is not to cover slides. First thing is that plastic started in 1960 with 0 tons. Okay, today every year we make 400 tons. Okay, probably this year it will be 500 tons, nearly 500 million tons. I'm so sorry, not 500 tons. 500 million tons, half a billion tons of plastic is made every year in these years. Okay. So what started off as something which was unique, it was good for certain medical applications and things like that, has become an extreme usage. So I would say from the success point of view, plastic has been the most successful material on the planet. It's more successful than steel. It's more successful than cement. It has replaced steel. It has replaced paper. It has replaced cardboard. It has replaced glass in packaging in every which ways. In your time, think about 20 years ago or 30 years ago. If you are 30 years old, obviously, think about that time when you had this no you were drinking something out of a bottle. Most likely that bottle would have been glass. Or if you are consuming some box, something like chips, sorry, like biscuit packets, it was chances that it was metal or metal box. Then came paper and paper boards, and now plastic has replaced everything. So it has become, it is a real boon I mean, from the material science perspective, whoever developed the plastic, it is real value addition in economy. In applications also, if you see, and you know, somebody already talked about that automobile, uh, more than 70% of automobile parts are plastic, which means that it creates a huge value addition in terms of lowering the cost and lowering the carbon footprint, because the weight of the plastic is much lower than any other material. So it is as light as a carbon fiber. So you can imagine that that is what plastic is. So it is a wonderful material to work with. You can mold it, shape it. It will not shatter. It will not shatter like glass. It, you can make it translucent. You can make it transparent. You can make it opaque. You can add a layer of it from aluminium layer, and that will increase the sunlight protection and all the. You can add layers to increase the strength, like add polypropylene to it. You can add rigidity to it by adding nylon. You can strengthen it by weaving it, rather than just making a film out of it. You can weave it, non-woven, woven. Your entire set of bags, jute bags, have been replaced by plastic bags. Um, Raffia bags, what you see in cement, is all no, taking the strength as well as the hygroscopic inability, or inability to the moisture not going through the plastic, because of otherwise the jute, if you were transferring jute, sugar or salt or rice or cement in through the jute bags, not just the pilferage and wastages, but also the quality was horrible. So plastic is now used in almost everything to enhance the life. So there are hundreds of advantages of plastic. Okay, there are hundreds of applications of plastic, and I don't think that no, we can wish it away. Uh, yes, so that is one part of the plastic advantages in terms of consumption, in terms of production, in terms of usage, in terms of application. Huge amounts. Okay, what it is not is that, and what we worry about is that the pollution it creates, the amount of pollution which it leaves behind, especially in the in the South Asian areas, less in some other countries, because of our culture of use and throw, because the plastic is cheaper. If it was aluminium, it would have been collected. If it was no, if it was steel, scrap steel would have been collected. But since it is plastic and it's cheap, it is not collected. So I think that is the thing that goes against plastic, which is the take, make, waste, the linear economy of us throwing the plastics away. What also is important for you to understand is that there are, in India specifically, the culture of affordability is such big culture. It is so big that we use 300 billion pieces of plastics in FMCG alone. 350 billion. So you can imagine that 350 billion कितना होता है, मतलब हमारा देश का population is 1.3 billion, 1.4 billion, and we are talking about 350 billion pieces of plastic, which is produced from toffees to sachets to chips packets to lozenges, to what, I mean, you can think of everything which consumes plastic in such ways that it is affordable, yes, but it is not no, it is not collected because the waste pickers don't collect it. So our entire issue around plastic becomes the mismanagement of plastics at the other end. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm sharing with you a presentation, few slides out of my presentation. So just let me know, once you start seeing it. Are you able to
Yes.
see it?
Yes, sir, it is visible, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so maybe I'll just take reference of a couple of slides from here. So basically, this is Pro India, and our entire objective is to bring back that littered plastic and put it into circular economy. So it's the execution driven mission that we have. I already spoke to you about why plastics. Okay, economical, visual, moldable, unbreakable, lowest carbon footprint. Okay, you are faculty members of different colleges. You should understand LCA and carbon footprint. Carbon is becoming a very big thing because of decarbonization and direct relation to the climate change and 1.5-degree temperature management over the next few decades. And it's truly recyclable. So plastic is actually less carbon intensive than glass, less carbon intensive than aluminum, if you can see on the right hand side and the bottom screen. And all forms of plastic is recyclable, all forms. It is only when they are mixed with each other. Let's say if you mix PVC with PET, or if you mix HDP with PP, or if you make ABS, which has multiple plastics mixed together, that is the time that recycling of plastic becomes very challenging. It's not that it's impossible, but it becomes very challenging. This is a slide I was talking to you about. There are 300 billion pieces, and this is a FICCI study. If you just take one category, confectionery, which means basically, which means toffees and stuff like that, it does not include biscuits, it does not include dairy, but it is just simple confectionery like Parle lozenges or Alpenlibe toffees. 62.5 billion pieces are actually consumed in the country in 1 year. This was year 2014, okay, where this number, the total number was close to about 170, 180. Now it is close to about 300 billion pieces. And it is said that if this trend continues worldwide, there'll be more plastics than fish in the ocean by 2050. This is Ellen MacArthur's study. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm going back from here. I'll keep referring to some slides and I'll keep going back to some other places. So I'm going to go now quickly to our website, which I would like you to also have a look at some point in time. If you are not able to look at it right now, it is fine. It's a very simple, you can type in proindia.net, and that's the website that we have. So in that, I'm going to go to Pro India EPR. EPR is Extended Producer's Responsibility. Now I'm trying to bring you to up to date of what are the regulations which are coming in the plastics. So I'm not going to talk about the worldwide regulations, but I'm going to talk about specifically India regulations, okay, which is at home, very near, very much actionable, and immediate, and it's like clear and present danger. That's what it is called, right? So EPR is called Extended Producer's Responsibility. Extended Producer's Responsibility means that as a producer, if like I was working with Coca-Cola, my job is not over by just producing a good quality, safe, and high demand beverage like Coca-Cola and sending it out to my distributors. My job is also to actually collect back every bottle from the consumer back after it is used, so that the empty bottle is disposed from, not disposed into the environment, but taken away from the environment and put into circular economy. Okay, so there is this responsibility of producers which extends beyond their normal working boundaries, which is a factory or a sales office or a distribution office. So it's called Extended Producer's Responsibility. What I will encourage you to do is that you should look at Plastic Waste Rule 2021. You should look at EPR Rule October 2021. These are the rules which have been finally modified. The rules came in 2016. You can see it here on my. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So rules came in 2016. 2021, the rules were amended for the second time and enhanced for the second time. at that time there was also a list of single-use plastics which were banned or planned to be phased out in 2021 and 2022. So that list is not here, but you can always Google it and get that list. But let me take you first very quickly to Plastic Waste Rules 2021. From here, I just click that site and I can see the entire rule here. So you or some of your students should be able to study this for you and come back to you and say what is important, for the institution, what is important for companies, and where do you think that, what does the rule mean? So these are the definitions, and then these are the conditions. But more importantly, the rule is that the manufacturer, import, stocking, distribution will have to take the responsibility of plastic waste management. Okay. And then they have put the responsibility to different people like local body, like Gram Panchayat for collection, like responsibility of waste generator. So for example, an institution is also a waste generator. Your institution, your college is also a waste generator where the large amount of solid waste is getting generated, or a corporate office or a factory is also a waste generator, or a resident welfare association, a colony in which you stay, high rise or whatever, that is also a large waste generator. So they have responsibility. But more importantly, the responsibility we are going to talk about is extended responsibility of producer, importer, and brand owner. So for example, if I am Coca-Cola, then what is my responsibility? That's called EPR for me. So the responsibility was within 6 months from 2016, some date, that they will give a plan to CPCB and Central Pollution Control Board and State Pollution Control Board to retrieve their plastics. Okay, so that was the first requirement, and second requirement was that they will be also required to action that plan, which means every state where they sell, they have to retrieve in state-wise. So a lot of work has already happened in this space. It's a lot of beginning has happened. More than 350 companies have given their plans and they're working on it. But in India, there are 35,000 FMCGs. So we have just touched the tip of the iceberg. Also, this mentioned very clearly that some plastics are not recyclable. So for example, if you see here, point number 3, it says manufacture and use of multi-layer plastics, which are not recyclable and not energy recoverable. So if it's not energy recoverable, then they should be phased out. But most of the sachets and chips packets and toffee wrappers, they are not recyclable, but they are at least energy recoverable. So they are going towards cement plants where they go as a co-fuel, which is basically, along with coal, it is burnt to generate calorific value. So it's called co-processing, or these items become alternate fuel. So alternative fuel fractions are created and being sent to cement plants. That's a topic of another day's discussion, but I can tell you that in Europe, AFR percentage replacement on TSR level, which is thermal substitution rate level, is more than 50% in Europe cement plants. But in India, it is about 3%. So which means that it is just starting. Indian cement plants are also just starting off using non-coal fuel like this alternate fuel. And most of these alternate fuel are the dry fractions of the solid waste generated in the municipalities, which is going to become more than 500 million tons in the next 10 years. In India, right now, municipalities, or rather waste totally generated, is more than 300 million tons every year. And in 10 years time, it will probably 500 million tons. And that is a landfill that you see in almost every city that you live in. You will see a huge landfill. So this is how the rules have started working. There are certain process of registering and getting the responsibilities cleared, and then actioning it and producing 6 monthly update reports. So as I mentioned, the progressive brands have already started doing it. More than 300 brands not just FMCG, but automobile brands as well as electronic brands have also started doing it. So this is the first thing I wanted to show you, PWM 2021. I don't want to take you through implementation SOP, so because it's just a standard operating practice, but I would like to take you through the EPR rules of 2021. Now this is very encouraging format. This is very encouraging rule which has come in addition to EPR, in addition to plastic waste rule. And the pages I'm interested in is starting from 20 because it is in English. So let me just get to the page 20. Here you go. So this is a draft notification which has come in on October 29, 2021, and it will be regularized by January 2022. So under this, now what the same set of brand owners are now expected to do few more things. They have defined plastics into 3 different categories. The rule has defined it as rigid plastics, flexible plastics, which means of a single layer, which means monomaterial, which means one type of plastic only. It could be PP, or it could be PE, but it is only made of PP, even if there are multiple sheets. But all of them are PP, then it will come under category 2. And category 3 is multi-layered plastics, which means that one layer of plastic and other layer could be anything. So here is where the whole category exists now, which means that your Tetra Pak is also multi-layer plastic because it has one layer of plastic. Any paper cup which you use, if it has a thin layer of plastic liner because of hygroscopic prevention, it has also become a multi-layer. Sachets obviously were always multi-layer. So anything which has a smallest layer of plastic, thinnest layer of plastic becomes a multi-layer plastic and starts coming into this rule book. So basically it coverage becomes huge. Second is that it says that 4 things has to be done by the brands now, not just recovery and co-processing, but item number 2, which means you have to demonstrate recycling. That's number 2. Number 3 is you have to use, as a brand, you have to use recycled content back into your products, which means if you are Coca-Cola, then you have to use PET, which you have retrieved from your distributors, from your consumers, and you have to wash it, flake it, recycle it into resin again, and put it back into along with fresh packaging. Okay, so this is the third very important option. And if you're not able to do any of this, then and only then you should be able to dispose it in a cement plant. So basically it is the approach that first option is to reuse the same package. Now it's very important for you to understand how do you reuse the same package. So I will show you how do you reuse your same package. If you're able to see me in the picture, this, can you see what I'm holding in my hand?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this is reuse. Basically, if suppose I got material in this, and suppose I got some let's say milk in this packet, then I used it and I gave it back like this only. Like the old time when the milk used to come, or when you used to buy Coca-Cola crates, glass bottles in a full crate and deposit the crate. So like that, if I give it back, empty bottle, and then they give me a bottle back, and they charge me only for the liquid, it is called reuse. Okay, so the first preference is reuse. Second preference is recycle. Again, I'm going to go back to your to the screen here. Second preference is recycle, which means, okay, at least get it completely recycled. Okay, let somebody else recycle it for some other application. Third is that bring it to the highest quality of recycling and use it in your own products. So that's the third category. And if you're not able to, then the last one is end of life disposal. Okay, so coming back, this is an important, very, very important regulation. It will open up the industry completely to all these, and then therefore there are certain targets of what you should do in which year, what should be done. For recycling, you are looking at 50% recycling. For end of life, we are looking at 60% end of life disposal. And if whether you're a brand owner or importer, your regulation remains the same. So I'm not going to go through this entire thing, but I have covered the the extract, the most important thing here. Okay. I'm going to stop at this stage and ask you if you have any questions. These are the legal requirements, and this is the requirement from the government for all the brands. So I think that it is a great opportunity to be in recycling, to support recycling, to support use of recycled products, and probably it will open up a complete sector. But it is going to be challenging. So I want to hear from you if you have anybody has any view on the same. Yeah, Swati, please go ahead.
सर गुड मॉर्निंग सर, जैसे आपने बताया मिल्क वाला बॉटल को अपन रीयूज कर सकते हैं। जैसे देखा जाए कि वाटर बॉटल्स जो होते हैं अपने, उसको रीयूज करने के लिए क्या कर सकते हैं? जैसे कि एवरीवन टेक अवे द वाटर बॉटल्स विद देम, बट हाउ कैन वी रीयूज देम? इज देयर एनी मेथड? Because they are generating the maximum plastic waste, I think.
Yes, I agree. So Kinley Bisleri type of water bottle. That what
Yes,
you
sir,
are
yes, sir, yes, sir.
Okay. So in the present form, they cannot be recycled. They cannot be reused. Sorry, they can recycle. They cannot be reused. But if you look at this particular bottle, if you look at this Lock and Lock, for example, right, or there's another company which is very famous. I'm forgetting Tupperware,
Yes.
or Pearl Pet. Okay, for example, those companies made rigid, hard, thick plastic. Okay. It's also PET, but the wall thickness is very high. So, for example, in Coca-Cola Germany, we had introduced about 10 years ago this kind of plastic bottle, which is thick PET bottle, which goes back, which is taken from the consumer and put it back into the bottle washer. The bottle washer, which otherwise was doing glass bottle washing, now started doing PET bottle washing. And when it came out, then the new label was put, new paper label was put, and Coca-Cola brand was put on the top, and then they started selling. So already in Germany, this practice is working for now more than 10 years. And this process requires that consumer are incentivized to return the bottle. So in Germany, 25 cents or 25, 1/4 of whatever the currency is, Deutschmark, is actually provided back to the consumer once the consumer returns such bottle to the Aldi's and to the basically supermart stores, where there are holes in the wall and you just drop the bottle one after the other, and at the end there'll be a slip which will come out crediting you with so many dollars, and along with your purchases in supermart, you give this coupon, and that much money is deducted from your from the total bill. So this entire ecosystem, first of all, the entire ecosystem has to work. Second is the packaging has to be designed slightly differently so that it can be used multiple number of times. So that's how the reuse can be generated. Now, that being said, it leads to the next point automatically, which is what is done with these bottles today? What are the things that are being done for these Kinley, Bisleri, Coca-Cola, PepsiCo bottles today? So the whole thing which is done today is that these bottles, once collected, more than 0.8 million tons worth of plastic, PET plastic, is collected, baled from kabadiwalas. So normally you will see that PET bottle aapko kahin milega nahi. If you go on the road, you will not find a thrown PET bottle. While consumption is very high, but the waste picker will pick it, sell it to the kabadiwala. maybe at 1 rupee a bottle or 50 paisa a bottle, or maybe 20 rupees a kilo. And then the PET bottles will, because it is one single material mostly. Okay, sometimes only the cap is different, is HDP or PP. Sometimes the label is different, like BOPP. You can have to cut the label out. But if the PET bottle is separated from all of this, 90% of the bottle by weight is PET only, which effectively means that that bottle can go into circular economy. How does it go? It is generally moving up to the trade, and then it gets flaked, washed, and you make polystaple fiber from the same. Okay. A good place to see this is our website, where again I'm going to take you to our YouTube site, and this thing is loaded here. One second, let me just quickly show us, since you have asked a very important, very relevant question. I do want to make sure that there is you see what happens here. Okay. Can you see my screen?
No, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I just had removed it. Now I'm just starting it off again.
Question. You built a website for a major brand with more than 200.
Okay, I'm going to put the YouTube link here. Maybe you can always see it later. But I'm going to show you still. Can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there are a lot of other videos on plastics, and several technology-led videos are also there. And also in this, if you look at Pro India and you look at other offering, for example, Pro India franchising, which means that how to set up your own factory of plastic recycling. There is a full page in English. You can even make it Hindi. So, I mean, in case somebody does not understand English but still wants to set up a plant, there is a whole plant setting up process which is given here in Pro India Recycling web page, and that is also available on the website itself. In that, there is 6 series videos which talks about how to set up your own facility. So you can even have a look at this. I have explained it in my own way, in my own style here, and I'm going to just put it right here for you. The website is proindia.net, and I think it is available. Somebody's asking me the website details again, which is fine. I'll just copy it one more time, because half of you were not there on time today when we started, because we started with 30 people and now we are about 80 people. So I guess some of you missed some of the information earlier. So, but here it is. The website details are right here. Okay. And as I mentioned that you will see a lot of other things on collection, which is the biggest challenge in the plastic, to collect this small amounts of plastic in different from different places. And no, we had piloted one place where the entire city was managed by us, by our partners. So have a look at this also.
Sir, what about FRPs, like composites?
Yeah, I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. Yeah.
Yes, sir, because
Are you able to see my screen?
yes, sir, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so very relevant question here. And can I request all of you to at least switch on one time the camera so that we can take a snap of you for my LinkedIn note at least one time. And that much I can request you. We are halfway through. I'm sure you must be finding it interesting in some ways. And just one time that if we can, yeah, just let me see whether I can get all of you in one frame, which I'm hoping that we'll be able to get you in one frame. I still don't see ACP, Sashi Singh, Goenka Ravich, and a few others who are not on the camera, and Mr. Ame Ame Fanse. Okay,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Fanse. And few others. Okay, it'll be good to have you on screen, and I think it'll be good for the moderator from CIPET also to say, yes, we had a
Yes,
very successful.
yes, sir, yeah. Yes, dear participants, please try to put your camera on so that we can have a like click of everyone.
Yeah, that will be nice. Okay, so that at least we will cite you in the LinkedIn and say that you have attended and you've been. I mean, believe me, I have not addressed so many faculty members together ever. I've always been a student. I've never been a teacher, and I like to remain a student till the last breath of my life. I don't like. I mean, I don't like to teach. I would like to
Every
be learning. So
No,
I
sir,
mean,
every teacher is a student also. Throughout our life, we'll be learning. So it is
yeah,
like a throughout life process, lifelong process of learning.
brilliant. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
participants, please try to put your camera on.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, at 50 years of age, almost, I went and did my second MBA
Yes, sir.
from ISB. So I really believe in learning, and I really believe in transforming, using that learning and pivoting, and trying to become useful in some ways or the
जी
other.
सर कैमरा ऑन करो.
So हाँ जी, मन साहब कैमरा ऑन कर दिया, बहुत बढ़िया बात है। सिद्धार्थ जी फिर चले गए आप, चलो कोई बात नहीं। Okay, so Now we transition into the third and the most exciting phase of this lecture. This is very exciting because this is a challenge to you. Okay, it is very exciting because I'm putting you on a challenge. I'm putting you on a spot, Vijay Devare ji. So we have seen some people with gray hair also as lecturers, which is very nice. So the challenge is how you could participate in most innovative ways in recycling. How can you participate? I can tell you that it will be very satisfying if in your colony itself you are able to bring the change. Okay, in your own family itself you are able to bring the change. Forget that you want to do what Mr. Modi is trying to do. Okay, I mean that is esoterical. No, probably some of you might still go ahead and do it, but for an average human being like you and me, how far can we extend our own periphery? It's called circle of influence. Okay, so circle of influence, how far you can go and extend the circle of influence within your own, with you as a center of gravity, and you are trying to create the biggest circle. Okay, sometimes our circle of concern is always bigger than our circle of influence. It is always, because you will be worried about Pakistan, you will be worried about US, you will never go to Pakistan. Okay, or if you have not gone till now, probably you'll not go unless you are a MEA member. But your concern will always be there. Okay, your concern will be Kazakhstan because it's creating so much of trouble. Your concern will be Ukraine. You don't even know president's name of Ukraine, but you know that US and रशिया दोनों के बीच में लड़ाई हो रही है, यूक्रेन के बीच में. कहाँ है यूक्रेन ज्योग्राफी में? आपको पता नहीं है, हमें भी पता नहीं है. Okay, so but concern will always be there. You'll be worried. Okay, it's a human nature. You will be worried. But concern of the circle of influence is a smaller circle in which you can make the influence. The first influence you can make is, which does not require anybody else, is you. You can make an influence on yourself. Okay. Second is you can make an influence on your family. It's very difficult to make influence on your spouse. So maybe you go, in a Venn diagram, work on other members of the family. And then maybe your colony, maybe your RWA, maybe your office, maybe your institution, maybe your department, maybe maybe even your dean. You can make influence. And then what can you do independently, individually? Okay. One is practice some of this. Practice waste segregation. Separate the waste in your own household, in your own institution. Separate it, because separation increases value of the waste. Okay, you take a milk packet and you take chai, the empty part of the chai, the remainder of chai, and you just put it together in the same dustbin. Okay, and then you put Amazon Amazon packets, and then you put household kachra. Then you put vegetable peel. Then you put all. This is the standard thing which will come out in your household kachre ka dabba, right? So that becomes useless for for it to go to to be of any use. What you do with newspaper? You take the newspaper and if you are not doing it, I'm sure your mother is doing it. Okay, if your mother is not doing it, your grandmother must definitely be doing it. So they will keep it aside. And even today, if you go to a Kumar Mangalam's house, they will still be doing the same thing. Whether you are earning 1 lakh rupees or you're earning 1 crore, your family must be keeping newspaper aside. This is an Indian culture. You can't go out of the Indian culture. So you are selling it at 10 rupees. Same thing you can do with plastics. Why are you not doing it with plastics? You can at least keep it aside. Don't sell it. If you don't want to make money, give it away to your local kabadi wala. Give it to him free. Give it to a waste picker free. But at least that will not go to the landfill. 500 million tons of solid waste generated. 10% of that is plastic. Out of that 500 million tons, 250 million tons will biodegrade automatically. But plastic will not biodegrade. So every year, the plastic buildup continues. And worldwide, we have not recycled more than 9% of plastic. More than 10 billion tons of plastic has been produced. 10 billion tons, metric tons. And less than 9 million tons of plastic has been ever recycled. So one thing you can do is start from yourself. No, boon boon se ghada badta hai na, so you can start from yourself. Then you will get ideas. Okay, I'll give you some links. I'll attach it here. You will get some ideas of people doing things from their own plastics. And there's an Australian entrepreneur who's an Indian. Amazing stuff they have done. Okay, I will share it on this group. I'll share some of the things which are amazing, unbelievable, and very very low cost. You can do it by yourself types, and you can at least do it in your institution. Definitely you can do it within your institution. Okay, so I'm just going to do this right here, and maybe you will see some of this appearing in the YouTube links, which you can see it later. I don't want to take all the time here to keep showing you videos, and some of them are the answer to what question ma'am asked in terms of what can be done with multi-layer plastics or composites or ABS or no or FRP. She mentioned FRP also, right?
Yes, sir.
So what can be done? So I'm giving you some 5 videos to see. This is the link of 5 videos. Please copy it. This is worldwide best practices, lighthouse practices in recycling, which are very very small. Most of this starts from South Africa or countries like these places where they don't have money. So when they do it, that means that it is as cheap and cheerful as what an Indian entrepreneur can do. Have a look at it. You will realize that there are multiple ways you can do stuff. Now, these are not the best cradle to cradle approach. Nobody in this world is truly doing recycling. They are either doing downcycling or they're not doing recycling at all. Recycling plants are super expensive. There are plants like Indorama. There are companies like Indorama, which is trying to now make virgin PET quality material. Okay, FDA approved, US FDA approved, FSSA approved material, which is now the industry is coming up. So same is coming up in HDPE, very high quality, but that requires liquefaction of plastic. So you liquefy the plastic to remove the VOCs, the volatile organic compounds from the plastic. You remove the VOCs, and then you remove the impurities through high level of filtration, very high level of filtration. And then there is a level even before that, above that. The level above that is moving the plastic into separate carbon and hydrogen chains. So you make the carbon hydrogen chain. Plastic is basically carbon and hydrogen chain, right? So the problem happens is even at a chain level, there are impurities which go inside the chain because of the catalyst, because of the other things that you put. But if you kind of break down the chain and make it into a carbon hydrogen chains which are smaller, let's say 4 molecular size. I mean, maybe some organic person can explain, or some chemist can explain this, chemical engineer can explain this more better. Then what happens is it releases all of these impurities at the level of what you call chain, and then you kind of put it back together. So Dow and BASF and some of these companies are actually attempting to do that. They are doing it at a mass scale. IOC is trying to do it at a mass scale by actually putting it along with other oils and doing the whole process of refraction, which is taking the plastic to a level where that quality is maintained. Again, it is super expensive. So the most expensive is breaking it down to the molecular chain level. Second expensive is when you actually to purify, you only take out the VOCs and other mechanical impurities. So essentially, you have not changed the composition of plastic. If it is, let's say, 20 length chain, the chain remains the same, but you have removed the impurities around. But if it is the impurities within the chain, then it's very difficult to remove. Now, specific to the question, when 5 or 6 different material is added together to the plastic, for example, if the plastic is added with aluminum, okay, one layer of plastic, one layer of aluminum, it's impossible. You cannot remove it mechanically. So you have to use maybe putting it into some solutions where both plastic and aluminum dissolve, and then you start utilizing that. You use you put anode and cathode tubes to separate out the plastic, much like lithium or copper, or from the batteries and things like that. Again, very expensive, but those solvent technologies can be done. It is done at the lab scale, but I don't think that people are doing it at the mass scale. So I am also of a view that recycling is not recycling is a very good buzzword, but it is something which does not work, because worldwide in the 60 years plastic has not been recycled. Less than 10th of a plastic has been recycled. Okay, so I think people have still not figured out, and circular economy in the true sense is not working. Okay, so what should we do? Maybe we can downcycle. It doesn't look good, it doesn't look fashionable, but it works. Down cycle works. These 6 examples that I have given you in the YouTube, these are all down cycling examples. There's examples you can do it in 2-3 lakh rupees. Anybody who wants to become an entrepreneur, please come to me. I will explain this. I have seen it myself. Okay. And we are creating 4 or 5 products out of this. For example, I'll give you some a nice example out of it in a picture presentation, which I'm going to share with you just now. 1 second.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
What actually you are saying that plastic waste should be segregated separately. So till now, like what we were doing is we were separating the wet waste and dry waste separately, and it was assumed that the dry waste which was separated and it is going to be done later on at the later stage because I mean it is going to be recycled or used or done for some other purpose. So it should be done in the 3 ways instead of doing this. So should we this policy be incorporated? I mean that instead of segregating the waste into 2 parts, it should be done in the 3 parts.
Yeah, so you can do it in 2 ways. You can do it in 3 ways. Europe, in some countries, they are doing it in 6 different ways. Is the question is, after that, if the municipality truck is putting it to 2 of these fractions together into 1 truck and then taking it away, your effort is going to get wasted,
No,
right?
no, no. That though they are doing it, the municipality is doing it. That is why the awareness has come into the public that they are segregating the waste. But the only point is that this is not coming to the picture that the segregation of the waste instead of 2 now. I mean that see now because after the corona period that we have done it into 3 types. That is the disposal of masks
Yeah.
and all these things in one side and the dry and wet waste on the other side. But then the plastic has come into the picture, which you are telling now it is the new thing that it has to be segregated separately other than the dry waste. So is that
No,
done
sorry.
in some
So
other place also?
yeah, Preeti, what I would say is that I'm not suggesting that plastic should be separated into a separate fraction. I am saying that plastic should be part of dry waste, not separate. Okay.
Dry
There should
waste.
be dry waste, wet waste, and hazardous waste. And hazardous waste could be the sanitary waste also can be part of that. Medical waste can also be part of hazardous waste, and all like medical waste. The hazardous waste could be one more separate thing, where masks and disposables or PPE can also be forming a part. That's what I'm suggesting at the municipality level. And once the dry waste goes to the collection center, then there is a material recovery facility. There should be, and Europe has it. I have seen recovery facilities which have automation and everything, which separates the plastics and cardboards and cloth and everything into separate things. Okay. All right. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Okay. So you can see some of the things here we are trying to attempt. One is furniture items. So these items we are going to make it out of multi-layer plastic sheets. Okay. And for example, this chair, can you see on the right hand side? It's made from multi-layer plastic sheets. Then we are also attempting to create this kind of foldable flat pack furnitures from the multi-layer plastic sheets. And we are also looking at, this kind of nice looking table, which are laser cut or no CNC machine cut thing with multi-layer plastic sheets. Then obviously we're looking at, if you look at this particular chair, it is also made out of plastic sheets. So it's a thermoformed plastic sheet, or this nice looking dustbin, or the stool or the chair, or this kind of open mouth roto molded dustbin, or these sections, or these chairs which are made out of plastic woven into sachets, actually woven into threads. So this is also one example. And then if you look at these sections, they look like wood. They are not wood, actually they are plastics, but they are textured by adding colors and sometimes also adding shredded wood, which is coming out of the furniture shops, which is basically wood dust. So wood dust gives the texture, and also the other adds other aspects of putting nails and screwing the sections. And then these lumber material is called plastic lumber, and it is largely plastic. And then the roof sections, if you see on the left hand side, that's just kind of roof sections which are flame retardant and also are more rigid and last longer. And since it's asbestos free, so it is also non-carcinogenic. Then gift items like these, if you can see, these are the dustbins and photo stands and other things which are made of plastic sheets. So what I'm trying to tell you here is that these are the things that can create circular economy. Then the other thing that is going to create circular economy is in mass scale is something called paver blocks. So paver blocks is something which is used in next to the road or in your pathways in a very, very big way. So paver blocks, we can look at paver blocks, making paver blocks purely from plastics. One of the videos will talk about that. If you see the 6 videos, one of the things will talk about paver blocks. And second is that paver blocks can be, one is that it can be heated along with plastic, can be heated along with sand, and then hot molded into shapes, or even in the cold form, plastic, multi-layer plastic, shredded plastic can be added into concrete itself, and blocks can be created. So Nitin Gadkari Saab has actually mentioned that highways can consume huge amount of plastics because plastic when it is heated along with the tar, then the tar actually under continuous submerged water conditions starts dissolving, and therefore you normally see tar roads require much maintenance, but concrete road does not. But tar roads require maintenance because the tar, if you add plastics and heat it along with the tar, then the plastic makes it impervious. So that is another application for this plastics, which is not exactly cradle to cradle, but at least it is not littering. It is taking away from the littering. So we are looking at, so there are 3 or 4 things that we are looking at. We are looking at plastic lumbers. I'm just writing it here for your information. I'm writing plastic paver blocks. And then I'm writing plastic sheets. I will answer the question on plastic, but just let me show you what it means. Okay, so can you see my screen? I really want you to open your cameras now. This is the last 10 minutes of the discussion. We will take questions in the next few minutes. Okay, can you see this diary?
Yes, sir.
Can this texture is
Yes, sir.
plastic? This is pure sachets. This sachet of plastic which are woven into this form. This is all plastic. Okay. Then can you see this texture here?
Yes, sir.
This plastic sheet is compressed plastic thermoformed plastic, but it is very strong. It's stronger than plywood, which you can use in desks and other places. Very nice looking also. You can cut it in different shapes and you can laser cut it into the table that I showed you in the other picture. Can you see this?
Yes, sir.
This is plastic lumber. So basically, wood dust and plastic co-extruded to form this lumber. Okay. Now this is the lumber you can make. It's called flow molding. Flow molding. Okay. I don't have a picture of a paper. I don't have a what do you call a sample of a paper block, but I know you understand. You will understand what a paper block means, right? Paper block is what you walk on the paper, and these examples and the videos will show you. And the paper blocks is the easiest entry target for you to get in if you want to know if your institution wants to do so. And let me also mention here to you that we will really encourage you and your students to come and work with us on some internship. We cannot pay. Okay, we are a startup company, so we are not funded. It's all my own savings that I have put in from my Coca-Cola money so far. So I can't pay you. I can only give you learning. If you are already learned, then thank you very much. But if you want to learn, then I can give you learning for you to start something and your interns to learn something, your students to learn something. Entrepreneurship needs a mentorship to begin with. I don't have a mentor, but I can become a mentor to your students who wants to practice something in this, who wants to learn. So we are actually under various stages of piloting these kind of technologies, and we want to market it also. We want to put it on retail. What I will do is the last thing I will talk about is awareness, creating awareness among students. Somebody was telling me that there are 36 crore students in the country. One third of India is students. Okay, so and students are most impressionable. Okay, they have not yet become leaders, but if they are taught right, they can become leaders. So your job is a very, very important one, I would say, because you are making leaders of tomorrow. Now you will have to decide what kind of leaders you are making. Okay, if you are wanting to make leaders who want to go and work for only an IT company and make sure that they have the iPhone at the end of the second year, fine. Or if you want you want students to become leaders who actually are able to change the community around them, who are becoming the torch bearers of no societal change, because that is what they can. That is again in your hands. So this is. I'm coming back to circle of influence versus circle of concern. This is your circle of influence. Your students can actually do an internship, learn how to manage plastic, create awareness around plastic waste management, and also maybe become an entrepreneur at some stage. So I just want to end my conversation with a video presentation of 25,000 school children that we had taught on plastic waste awareness. Okay, so I'm just going to take you again to the same my YouTube channel and you to have a look of what we have done. It's again a 1 minute video. It will not bore you, hopefully. So just allow me 1 second. Keep your questions ready. Please type it in the meanwhile. Please type it on the chat box, because we will keep a record, and I hopefully will answer some of you before 11:30. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
You can see my screen?
Yes, sir.
It is
Okay.
visible, sir.
Yes, sir. Visual.
अगर सुन लो जिस्म लेना हम तो गम ये फट जाएगा ये बहती सी नदिया का ये पानी रुक जाएगा अगर सुन लो जिस्म लेना हम तो गम ये फट जाएगा ये बहती सी नदिया का ये पानी रुक जाएगा ये कर दो रहम धरती का ये दम भी घुट जाएगा ये कुदरत की हनस नस में जहर ये बस जाएगा टिक 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 कसम ये खाए टिक 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 प्लास्टिक टिक ना पाए टिक 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 कसम ये खाए टिक 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 प्लास्टिक टिक ना पाए टिक 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 कसम ये खाए tick 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 plastic tick na paye
So every time I play this video, I feel so motivated about this entire thing that I'm doing, and it keeps me going. So thank you very much for the session. I can take a few questions. If you have any question, can you please speak up?
I hope we have already the questions have been provided in chat box. Yes, sir.
Okay. Just 1 second. Let me just have a look at it. I'm just writing my email address again in case any of you would like to get in touch with me and look for no projects or internships for your students. We'll be very happy to do so. Okay. So the best way is to write a mail, because otherwise some of these will get lost. Or you can always put this entire thing together to CIPET Bhubaneswar, and they can aggregate it along with and then send it across to us. Okay. So quick questions. First, somebody said that paver blocks are not very something. Even I am working on plastic paver blocks, but facing difficulty in water percolation. But I have made hybrid paver blocks with plastic and remaining with previous concrete. But absolutely okay. It's good to put paver blocks with plastic and sand, and water percolation. The water doesn't percolate through concrete paver blocks also, so there should not be any specific requirement like that. If you have it, put it in the section of the paver block itself which has put the paver blocks like that, where the pattern allows water to seep in especially in the thick bigger flow paths. Okay, then I've used HDPE and PB plastic but will not liberate harmful gases, but it will not. Okay, so plastic will liberate gases. You have to be sure of that. It always will, because it's impure. So you'll always have to put a vacuum pump and then exhaust the gases, put it through the water, and make sure especially PVC will generate chlorides, and it will become hydrochloride HCl gas fumes. It will be dangerous. So it's good idea to always take away the gases from where it is getting generated. You do not consider that you will make a gas-free heating. Okay, it doesn't happen most of the time. So it's always good to remain safe. To what extent plastic paver blocks can be recycled? No, it cannot be recycled. Maybe it can be recycled back into the paver blocks again. So don't worry about it. Sometimes we get so worried that, oh, what will happen with the clothes we wear? The clothes we wear are going to the landfill areas. Okay, what do? Are we reducing our consumption of clothes? No. If we are a Singapore country like Singapore, they are putting it to waste to energy at the end. So don't worry about it. That What hundredth of the time is not getting recycled? Arey, if you are able to recycle it 3 times, 4 times is good enough. That's better than throwing it away, no? If we burn plastic along with coal cement factory, it causes an environmental effect. No, whatever is the effect, even coal has an environmental effect when it burns. It releases gases, it releases carbon dioxide, and it releases impurities like SOx and NOx. But then there are systems to purify it. There are huge systems in waste energy plants and cement plants to take away all these material, solids, liquids, or whatever gases from their systems, from the exhaust fumes. So you don't have to worry about if they do not release it within prescribed limits, their factory will be shut by the pollution control board. You don't have to worry about. That's why we don't worry about it, because they have consent to operate. Okay. Can you provide internship opportunity? Absolutely. I have already told so. Please write to me from your dean or from whoever as a college. Mention what is the period, what is the kind of students that who can participate, and what is the level of commitment they can put in. Okay. If the student is willing to spend 2 hours a week, we do not want them. Okay. We don't want people for just an internship certificate. I'm not interested. I don't have the bandwidth. But if the people are really interested and want to work, then no, once the COVID opens, they have to physically work also in the field. Okay. Not many internships is available. Like, I'm not a Google company that I'll give you internship and I'll give you a Google laptop and say, okay, go and do it out of your home or your bathroom. It doesn't matter. But in the case of physical work internship, it will require people to go outside a little bit and understand what is happening in the plastic space. Okay. Can there be opportunity for pharma students? Yes, why not? Because there are a lot of issues around plastics which are related to health, and maybe pharma students can become. Somebody asked a question right in the beginning. What about phthalates? What about migration of some of the phthalates in PET? So a lot of times the issue around the plastic, we are looking at, India is looking at food grade plastic now. Okay. So a pharma student will be very welcome, because the health consequences of plastic becomes a challenging issue, and it sometimes becomes difficult for people to explain. Okay. Yes, and automobile students as well, Tejas, for sure, because we are already working with automotive companies now, and they are looking at how to use, example, bumper to bumper is a project of Tata Nano and Tata, otherwise Indigo, which won a World Economic Forum award because they used old bumpers to make new bumpers. Okay, so
Okay.
yes, Tejas,
Nice.
definitely there'll be it'll be very good to have such students to come in, and I can tell you that almost every student can come in, as long as there is a good attitude for that. I'm looking for attitude. I'm not looking for skill. Skill can be built. Attitude cannot be built. Attitude is internal. Okay. Um, Ma'am, I can send you some information at this point in time. Definitely, whichever sector people are ready to come, we will invite, and then we will no tell if suppose some sectors are absolutely not useful to us. But if you look at our website once, you will understand that we are trying to cater to every sector, and plastic is all gone into every sector actually. If you really
Yes.
see. Yeah. Okay. So I think with that, I will want to make it a stop unless people have some pressing questions, because you have a 90-minute slot to mark your attendance. You have done so, thankfully. Okay. And you have achieved your tick in the box. And hopefully I'm able to give you a little bit more than the tick in the box. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So,
Sir.
Yes,
uh,
sir.
Yes, sir. Please, ma'am.
yes.
This is Dr. Kiran Tajne from Government College of Engineering, Nagpur. Sir, my students are working on this plastic waste recycling. They have experimental setup of crushing, then washing of this crushed plastic, and then making strands and globules. Okay, so up till now they have experiment setup, and after this, when we get the globules, where to purchase, where to sell it out, and what are the different properties need to be checked or on these of these globules.
Yeah, so this is a very
Whether
specific question, Professor
yes,
Kiran.
yes,
Very good, relevant question. I don't think I can answer it generally right now unless we see the specification of what has been generated. Many a times it is mixed plastic, so it becomes
yes,
little difficult. So it can be sold to a chair manufacturer, or no, it depends on what type of plastic. I don't even know whether it's PP or HD, what they are making. But a good quality segregation improves the quality of resin itself. So maybe if you can write to me a mail, I will probably be able to help you.
okay, okay. Thank you very much.
I
Okay.
request all the participants, if you are having any further queries, then you can ask here or you can write in email. Mr. Saha is here, so he can clarify your queries.
Good. Thank you very much. I think I have given you my email ID three
Yes,
times already. So I'm
yes,
hoping
sir.
that somebody would have kept a record of it. If you have any questions, please send a mail. Very happy to respond. And ma'am, I would definitely request a video link of this Google
Yes,
Meet. So you can send me a link, and also please send me the attendees and the professor's email IDs and mobile numbers if possible. If not, at least email IDs, so that no, I can at least have a group and I can send a common mail to everyone with some more details. I will also send a Google link where if the students are interested, they can apply for internship on that Google form itself.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely, I'll do so. So, all the participants, I think you are not having any further queries. So, we can thank basically I am like pretty sure that everyone have enjoyed this session, because I have thoroughly enjoyed this session. And thank you, Mr. Saha, for making this session so interesting, and your presentation was like excellent. Everyone was so happy to interact with you. This was so interactive and informative for all. For me also, we came across various aspects and various features to know about Pro India and others, what we can incorporate in our daily life to segregate plastics, and other habits also we can change from this lecture itself, we can understand. And thank you very much for giving your precious time for addressing our participants, for enlightening us, and for motivating us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so very much. Stay safe and all the very best to 2022. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Wish you the same, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Participants, you please mark your attendance for this session. I have shared the link of attendance. Please mark your attendance for this session. And our next session will start at 12 noon. From 12 to 1:30, there will be another session. Stay joined.